Hoffman.
Present.
Commissioner Pradel.
Present.
Commissioner Wilson.
Present.
Vice Mayor Hess.
Present.
Mayor Anderson.
Here. Thank you, Clerk Borling. For our opening ceremony tonight, we are honored to have Rabbi Shelley Goldman from the Congregation of Moses here. And we're going to do this slightly differently. Is that as standard procedures, I ask people to rise for the invocation and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. But Rabbi Goldman has a few comments to make before she starts her blessing, so I'll allow her to start with those comments, and then when she's going to begin her blessing, she can let everybody know, and we'll rise at that time. Rabbi Goldman.
Thank you, and it's great to be here. This is my first time in the building. I have been a resident of Kalamazoo for a little over a year. The rabbis of 1800 years ago, who created Judaism as we know it, lived at a time not dissimilar from our own. The institutions of the old order were crashing, and out of the ashes, the rabbis had to find a new way forward. Equipped with the text of the Bible and the Mishnah, the rabbis discussed their circumstances and fears, often imagining the inner lives of the characters in the Bible. And the rabbis debated. One such debate appears in the Talmud, with the rabbis imagining when, in the calendar year, God created Adam and Eve. Rabbi Eliezer says that the world was created in the fall, while Rabbi Yehoshua says that it was created in the spring. When Adam saw that the daytime was progressively diminishing, he worried that the world might have been progressing towards the primordial state of chaos and disorder, with the light ultimately ceasing altogether. But after the winter solstice arrived and the days began to get longer, Adam understood that this is the order of the world. The rabbis wondered, which would have been easier, to have been created in the fall and only ever known the coming of darkness, or to have been created in the spring and experienced the days getting longer until the summer solstice, and then watching as the sunlight got a little bit less each day. Perhaps Adam and Eve experiencing the order of the world from the spring would have been easier, because they would have been able to surmise that the light would eventually return. Perhaps it would have been easier to bear the darkness if it is all that they had ever known. Both opinions give people comfort. Both opinions terrify others. As we face the coming of darkness, I offer a blessing to this city commission. Please rise. For the rabbis also decreed that one was to say 100 blessings every day, and they created blessings for almost every occasion. I'll say it in the Hebrew and then in the English. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'tzorchei tzibur. Holy One of blessing, thank you for commanding us to be engaged in the work of caring for the needs of our community. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much again, Rabbi Goldman. We have the honor of having some guests we'd like to introduce this evening who are here with us in the chambers. Commissioner Huffman.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I would like to just give a shout out and recognize Inner City Youth for Change, who are gracing us with their presence, and their illustrious leader, Angela Anderson. Thank you so much for coming out just to see what's happening and what we're doing, and to listen about and learn some things. And please come back. One of you could be mayor one day. So let's go.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoffman. We have no proclamations this evening, which is actually an unusual event, yes. That doesn't mean that there aren't a lot of wonderful things happening in the city that deserve to be recognized, but no proclamations this evening. Now we're down to adoption of the formal agenda. Commissioners, are there any items on G, the consent agenda, you would like to have moved to the regular agenda? All right, seeing none, the agenda stands. Next is communications. Manager Ritzma.
Nothing this evening, Your Honor.
Thank you, Manager Ritzma. Now is the opportunity for public comments. Just as a reminder, this has changed a little bit, is that you have 4 minutes to make a public comment on any item or topic that you choose to provide comments to the commission. It's not a time when there'll be dialogue, but it's a time for you to provide opportunity for you to provide your thoughts to the commission and to the public, since this is a public meeting. Is there anyone who wants to make comments? Please come forward, state your name, and whether you live in the city.
Hi, my name is Adriana B. Cright, and I am in the program for Inner City Youth to Change. And today I'm going to tell you guys what Inner City Youth to Change is. Inner City Youth for Change is a program that prepares high school students for leadership in the community, aboard through education, service learning, and volunteering. And today, I want to say thanks for having us.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Arlo Gatachu, and I'm a Kalamazoo College student and a resident of the city of Kalamazoo. And today I am speaking in support of keeping the full length of the two-way bike lane throughout Michigan Avenue. From my college, I ride this corridor every week, multiple times on bike. And it is very nice to have a very direct route that is semi-protected and bidirectional. And it's a very important connector to downtown center, Kalamazoo River Valley Trail, and I also lead group rides with Kalamazoo College's bike co-op through the full lane. I also know that this is one of the busiest bike routes downtown, and much of its use is between Rose and Pitcher Street. I know that there were Michigan Avenue businesses that would prefer the idea of having angled parking between Rose and Pitcher. And I feel like it's important to think about the fact that many people in our city visit downtown with the intent of having a downtown experience, which usually means walking around. Downtowns are attractive in a different way than a strip mall, where a person might park in front of a business to do one thing and then leave. Part of building a Michigan Avenue that does not function like a thoroughfare is by promoting a downtown experience. And it's important to also consider that people on bike are your customers too, and according to studies, they are actually more likely to interact with businesses and communities. The plan to end the bike lane at Rose would also require people coming downtown on bike to be pushed into traffic with cars, which is uncomfortable for everyone, and especially families with kids. I imagine a future for our city's main road that isn't heavily based around cars, and angled parking would bring in more congestion and pollution, less economic activity, and less room for safe cycling, which is crucial for our growing population of bikers. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
My name is Nora Hauk. I've been a Kalamazoo resident since 2011. And I actually know Arlo because we have passed each other on the bike lanes, and over time we got to know each other. So I'm here too to talk about the two-way redesign by Whiteman Engineering that, as you know, is over $1 million contract for the redesign. Right now, in those redesigns, there's the possibility that the protected bike lanes will end at Rose. I want to talk to you about why bike lanes that are inconsistent create dangers for people. As you might know, the pilot bike lane runs for about 3/4 of a mile. For a cyclist, that's about a 7-minute bike ride. If it were to end at Rose, that would provide protection for a cyclist for 3 minutes of their ride. Imagine you got in a car and your journey only had protection for you for the first 3 minutes. Right now, you may think that utilization of the pilot bike lane is low. I would challenge you to ride from your own home to that pilot, because right now it is hard to access from the neighborhoods because it's surrounded on all sides by fast-moving roads. We're going to see a lot of changes in Kalamazoo that will address that, and that is so important. That will change people's ability to access that bike lane from their own neighborhoods. Next, I want to talk about who are bike lanes for. So ideally, bike lanes allow a wide range of residents who may not be able to access downtown to get there safely. That would be novice cyclists, youth who don't have a driver's license, hopefully my own children one day, elderly, people with cognitive and physical disabilities who can operate a bike but not a car. That includes my brother. And as well as families like mine with 2 adults who can't afford 2 cars. Not to mention the hundreds of people consuming alcohol in downtown businesses who right now are getting into cars and driving. For those people, safe bike access provides freedom. Now I want to talk to you about when bike lanes end dangerously, what happens. So I don't know if you've ever rode a bike on Westnedge. The first time I did, I was trying to ride with my children to Chenery Auditorium. 2 blocks before Chenery Auditorium, the bike lane ends. So with my children, I needed to merge into Westnedge traffic. That was a surprise to me. I'll let you guess whether I rode again with my children on Westnedge. Along with that, right now, the Michigan Avenue pilot bike lane at Pitcher Street, it becomes an unprotected bike lane. I didn't realize that, and I was with my 5-year-old on her own bike, and we were trying reasonably to get to the Calhaven Trail. Suddenly, we were side by side with trucks, and there's no protection except for a few very small, like little short poles, pylons. The stakes for bicyclists are very high, but for a driver who doesn't have front door parking, it might be a 2-minute walk.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
Good evening. I'm Rex Brugman. I live at 806 Ellendale in the Arcadia neighborhood. I'm here to speak on the item number 4 in the consent agenda. It has to do with the brownfield plan for the redevelopment project at 3607, 3619, and 3625 West Michigan Avenue. It seems like that brownfield redevelopment plan is going to be approved. Great. From the packet, I glean that construction's supposed to happen or begin in the spring of 2025. Fantastic. But I'm really here to comment on the condition of the property over the last couple of years, which has been horrific. And it's an abandoned property. It has not been secured properly. It has fallen trees on it. Some people might be inclined to say, well, it's a problem of homelessness because homeless people have been in and out. Well, that's true. Also, other people painting on the building, doing other things, climbing through it, all kinds of folks just looking for an experience of exploring an abandoned property because it hasn't been secured properly. Another telltale sign, the lawn hasn't been mowed. So we can certainly not blame that one on the homeless. Okay, and I think it's one of these things that we can ignore, we can go forward, we can say we did all we could, but I think we get habituated to things. And what I'd say is we should be more proactive to make sure property doesn't look like that. in terms of if you're someone in our neighborhood and someone's driving in to maybe buy a house in our neighborhood and buying a home there, I think it makes them much less inclined to do it if they're paying any attention at all. I also think that for people in the neighborhood, if they're driving back and forth in front of it every day, they look at the future of the neighborhood and they say, well, this isn't a good sign, okay? I'd also note that Western presumably is competing for students with other universities. You know, we're all competing for those students, right? Well, I don't think it's a good entryway to the university to have an abandoned property like that. Again, I think we're getting used to things that we shouldn't get used to. So I'm here hoping the property's redeveloped. That's fantastic. But I also think we need to have a conversation about, you know, kind of situations that we allow to linger. I know a lot of people have complained about the condition of the property, and somehow we haven't been effective in what we're doing. I also hope that if the redevelopment of the property doesn't actually go forward in the spring, the city looks at taking much more aggressive action on the property. Because I think sometimes we act like we're almost a city still almost on the brink of bankruptcy. And we're very focused on facilitating development. And that's great. I'm sure it's the appropriate approach to take. And yet I would say sometimes we may need to be a little tougher and a little bit more, okay, let's focus on the people who live here now. Thank you for your attention. It was very much a temptation to not come out tonight, being how it is. So I appreciate that you're here listening, and I appreciate your service. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next, please. Yes, please. Next.
Okay, guys, here's some pictures for you. You want to get us honest about shoveling our sidewalk?
Please make sure to use the microphone because people watching can't hear you.
Thank you. These are city-owned properties that are not shoveled. It says on the back of it where it's at. Hi, my name is Tina. I live in Kalamazoo. I've been here all my life. Here are some pictures of the city-owned property sidewalks that have not been shoveled within 48 hours. With the new snow removal you just passed at the last meeting in November, you told all the residents and businesses that you would get a ticket for $150 the first time, $250 the second time. How does that work? Homeowners get tickets, but the city don't? We already see you don't care what any of us have to say. Just look at the faces, people who are watching, of the people on the board when the residents talk. Those of you who are watching at home or here were able to make it here. It's kind of hard to get here. I work 2 jobs. I have to rush from the second job to get here, to be able to find a close parking spot because everybody takes up all the free spots. It was so much easier when people were able to call in with their concerns and comments during public comments. Winter is bad. It gets rough out there. People have to rush to come down here and hurry up and speak since you have cut public comments first. You have a lot of seniors that don't drive, can't walk, can't get here. And if you really care what people say, you would bring back public comments, phone public comments, so people can talk and speak their opinions. Even though you don't listen to any of us that make it here to talk, you just want to do whatever you're told, is vote yes on everything that comes before you. If you really want responses and concerns, you would bring back phone calls. I have been coming here for 7 long years, asking you to save our last natural green space, Lake to Stockbridge. And Mr. Anderson, your Hawthorne projects could be built right at the old DHS building and not disturb our last wildlife zone, our flooding that helps us with flooding. Building up Hawthorne project at the old DSS building, straight across the street from the last natural green space, so you won't cause any more flooding to homeowners and businesses. We already lost 3 businesses in the last couple weeks from your construction. There was 2 reasons we lost them. Your poor construction and planning projects and flooding you never planned to fix. Smokes on Burdick, Bright Eyes Brewery, Happy's Pizza. They've all shut their doors. because they can't survive. I have lived in my home for 38 years. I have paid taxes for all those years. You know, we pay taxes, you never fix anything. All you have did in my neighborhood is build and cause more flooding. Your storm drains flood out the streets and backs up the sewers into the groundwater where our drinking water comes from. Stop destroying natural spaces, wetlands, trees, for we are in a climate change. It shouldn't all be about money. You should be able to listen to the real people, not just the rich friends that tell you what to do. You guys need to start caring and using your heart. It should not always be about money. You have a lot of residents that can't afford your high rent. I know a lot of families who are homeless and children who live in cars, who sleep in apartment hallways because they don't have a place to live. The only meal they get is the meal they get at school. Come on, guys, it's time to start caring. Somebody's going to freeze to death in this winter. You need to have a heart. Do you not even care? You are part of the city, and you only care about money. You never have money to fix things, but you sure have money to build things. Rent is too high. Crime is bad. No one is safe. People are going to freeze to death. Kalamazoo is not a nice place to live anymore. I think all my life.
Thank you. Next, please.
My name is Shauna Espinoza. You know, I really wasn't even gonna come speak tonight because I lost my mother last week. But it's important to me to keep doing what I'm doing because my mother wouldn't want me to stop the work that I'm doing. But I'm here tonight because it's cold outside. We have babies outside. We have families outside. We have vets outside. We have disabled outside. We have those outside that are going through extreme health things that I dealt with, like with my mother before she passed. And I think it's time for y'all to start caring and doing something about it. If I can come up here a week after my mother passed, y'all can get up out y'all seats and do something that's important to help our unhoused. There's too many children out here. Way too many children out on the street. Can y'all imagine what they did for Thanksgiving break? Why they wasn't in school? They're out here on the street. There's snow. It's cold outside. They can't stay at the mission. They're out here on the streets. Do you think that they're not cold or they're not wondering why they're not in housing like other children or other families? It's important. So if I can come up here like I am today, y'all can come out here and see what's really going on and do something. It's important. It's extremely important. It's cold. It's extremely cold outside. Nobody should be outside, especially those that are extremely vulnerable. There are many people out here that have extreme health conditions, are in wheelchairs. How do you think it's able for them to access things that are needed, especially when sidewalks aren't plowed, there's snow outside? How do you think they're able to walk around and they should be in a warm home and worried about their health, not where they're going to get their next meal, not where they're going to lay their head, not where they're going to get warm. So I'm asking y'all, please, there needs to be shelters that are accessible and easy for them to get into, not long waiting lists or only 2 or 1 people that can be there. We have hundreds of people out here on the street. There's so many kids out here that should not be out here on the street. It's December. It's the holidays. It's cold outside. Y'all spend the night outside and see how it be throughout the day and see how you feel knowing that you're cold and you can't get warm unless somebody comes picks you up or you find somewhere to go and hoping that somebody don't kick you out because you're in there trying to stay warm and stay alive because it's cold outside. Think about that. It's simple, basic things that they're asking for and that they need. We're not up here saying this stuff just to hear us talk. We want to save lives. Nobody should die out on the street. You know how many people be kicked out the mission because they don't believe in God or they can't get there in time? It's something simple or something dumb that they're getting kicked out of. They're getting kicked out. Even children, teenagers. There's teenagers that have been kicked out of the mission in the last couple of weeks. That's not fair. Yes, I get that behaviors need to be checked and all that stuff, but how would you feel if you had a teenager and they told you that your son or your daughter, they had to get out of the mission and it's cold and they had to sleep on the streets and it's what it looks like outside? I don't think any of y'all would be okay with that, and y'all be searching for an answer and finding something that would fix the problem. That is what we're asking y'all for. I'm asking y'all to realize that there's a problem, get up and do something about it, not just sit here and just think that it's going to go away. It's not. It's going to get worse.
Thank you. Next, please.
Charles Hanna, once again. I would like to start out, I would like to elaborate on what the gentlewoman said earlier. 3 years ago, I was hit by a car on a bike while I was riding a bike. And that particular year, I was the only person that lived, probably because I could see the car coming. And it's a real thing. In February, it happened again, and it's one of the reasons why I'm not employed now. You know, I broke 3 ribs right in front of State Theater, had to be taken to, Borges, and couldn't work for over a month, and so it's a real thing. Last time that we spoke, I think I touched on the charging situation, with our phones, and I think I remarked that I was scheduled for court. I had been given a citation that carried up to $500 fine and 90 days in jail. This is the document that says that that was dismissed, but I'm the only one. Now, I'm going to tell you guys something. It's dangerous out here, and people need to have access to 911. It's just, there's going to be someone assaulted tonight. I can assure you of that. And a lot of times, only, in that region, it's somewhat safe, because there's cameras. We can charge our phones, and if we did need to get in touch with law enforcement, we'd be able to. So I want you guys to kind of maybe consider revisiting that. It's not fair that I'm the only one that should be able to beat it. I don't like when people are victimized simply because they lack the wherewithal or the ability to defend themselves, We just went through Thanksgiving, and now it's Christmas is looming. Last night I saw a couple people kicked out too, and there's going to be, it's cold. I want you guys to really strongly consider, the initial, before Ampersea, the initial encampment. Remember that warming center there? What is that going to look like? What's that going to cost? You know what I'm saying? Because we need to get it. We need to get something going like that. If you guys can't do it, tell us what it's going to cost, so maybe we can try to raise some funds our own. We're just trying to keep people alive, I mean, literally. So just think about that, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
My name is Angela Manning. I'm advocating again for the locally unhoused. I don't know if anybody knows what it's like as someone that's unhoused from the morning. Get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, secure your things, have nowhere to put your things, back problems, carrying them all around, scared that somebody's going to get any of your treasured belongings. I have women out here that have lost the ashes of their children. I have families out here that have, nothing left, just shambles of their life, just shambles all over the place. And where do they come? They come to the ministries with community. That's the place where they sit the most, where it's warm, where they can be fed, where they become compliant. Some may be. I was just thinking about addressing an issue with social inadequacy. When you become homeless and you live on the streets, you automatically become defensive. You're defensive of your belongings. You're a hoarder. You got mental health issues. You're looking for somebody to take something from you all the time, and it kind of and then you're out in the cold and it exhausts you. Kind of a trickle down effect. So when we go into the ministries and communities, it should be a place of resource, a place where not only not for people to get compliant, and I understand that much, but there should be some limitations and jurisdictions on the way that they run the place. I have an issue with the fact that they do not keep up, social work does not keep up on their resource list. They do not get anything from Housing Resources that is new, updated, no landlord list, no nothing like that. I actually had brought in some updated resource lists for Kalamazoo County and all throughout it, and I tried to post them on the board, and I actually got attacked pretty much by one of the security guards. They do not want to help you go any further, and I believe that there should be a bus that ships maybe once a week to take them to Department of Human Services to get there, have an advocate there, get their food stamps turned back on. Just one little help, because there's people out there that don't even get Social Security checks and they're starving. Another thing is the fact that I was thinking of maybe in order to become a member at the ministries that maybe somebody should put in a learning syllabus. So for interaction with authorities, anything to introduce yourself, reintroduce yourself back into society. I mean, because that's a lot of problem that I've noticed people have, and it will just become a problem over and over again to be a circle and a circle. And with all the citations, we're just trying to stay warm out there. I mean, like a tent here, a tent there. It is so cold out there. I'm not even kidding. And it's hard for me to get off these streets, to get a job, to do everything, because I'd rather be up here advocating for the people that can't. And, and I don't care how much time it takes for me to do it, whether I start from the bottom and go to the top. I don't care. As many people as I can get to support me. Another thing was the landlords, or not the landlords, but the property owners that have small properties near and around the drop-in and the train station. Maybe we could partner up with them to find some kind of way to maybe take 10 people to be able to put a tent on top of their property, to sponsor the homeless, more things for volunteering for children so that they're not scared of the homeless or the authorities. I feel like we need to all join together and become united because, to be honest with you, the homeless community is one of the biggest families that I've ever seen. We look out for each other more than any other person would look out for another person. And it's pretty sad because, we have nothing and we always give what we have. So it's become a little bit of a problem when you can go to the ministries and the communities and get there and get warm, but they're rude. I've heard them come over the intercom telling them to shut a baby up one time. I mean, there's mothers in there, that shouldn't be in the positions that we're in. We all shouldn't be. And it takes effort, but with effort, you have to have integrity and self-esteem within yourself. And if you're not conducting yourself in a manner where you can go out into society and get a job because you forgot how to do that because you've been living on the streets for so long, there's a way of life of that. So if we can just introduce them back into society, the homeless people, and give them a little bit more of a hands-on situation, maybe they would be more comfortable with coming back into society and being a productive member. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Alfonso Harris. I live in the 900 block of North Burdick. Today is the International Day for the Abolition of Slavery. A lot of people think slavery is in the past, but there's modern day slavery. Some examples are sex and human trafficking, child labor, forced marriage, forced prostitution. There are some resources. There's the Anti-Slavery Collective, the End Slavery Now, and Freedom United. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello, my name is Millie. I'm here to encourage you to vote yes and to encourage everyone about continuing the bike lane on Michigan Avenue all the way. I believe in halting it at Rose would draw the city's judgment into question. I commute to school at Western Michigan University every day, Monday through Friday, often multiple times a day, using that bike lane. I live on Michigan Avenue, and I have seen the bike lane go in, and I have seen how it has affected traffic, the speed of traffic, and how much more cautious the narrow lanes give people, like a chance to, not just drive crazy. Last year, I was hit by a Kalamazoo public school bus on Michigan Avenue, riding home from school, and thankfully I was not as gravely injured as people who have spoke before me, but that's not the case. 2 months ago, a member of Western Michigan University was hit and killed while riding his bike to school. His name was JJ. So I think it is important, and I believe that with all of the coming changes that the city is doing road-wise, infrastructure-wise, that it makes sense. We won't have another opportunity like this until after all of you and me are gone. Additionally, I would like to encourage the city to think about coming out with a position for the proposed mass deportations that the president-elect has spoken about, and to take a strong stance against that preemptively, not reactionarily. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello, my name is Cynthia, and I am here for 2 reasons. One, I am a recent graduate of Western Michigan University and a social worker in this community. And I work with families who are from all sorts of situations, but we have a large influx of families who are experiencing homelessness. And when we've brought these families to places like HRI and ISK to look for housing resources, the wait list for these places, when you think of a 1-bed, the wait list is about a year. When you think of a 2-bed, the wait list is 2 years. When you think of a 3-bed, the wait list is 3 years. If you have a child more than one child who's above the age of 10 years old, who are opposite genders, you now need an additional bedroom. They cannot room together. There are so many families out here looking for housing, and there are not nearly enough resources or even private landlords willing to rent to these families, whether they have an eviction or not. This is a big problem, and it's not something that even social workers are able to solve because we can only do so much. We're not made of money. We don't have that much funds. We don't even get paid that much to be a social worker in the US. And I think that this is a big issue that we've come across, and especially with it getting cold, it's only gonna get worse. And we're only gonna see more youth, families, children, teens out on the streets and in the cold. That is my first issue. The second thing I am here to speak about is the bike lanes, because I commuted to Western every day for school, for my last 2 semesters of school. And I found that when I asked people my age to commute with me, they were afraid. They were afraid because they knew people who had been killed by cars who had no reason, hitting people on bikes. If you're in a 1,000+ pound piece of machinery, you should be looking out for pedestrians and people in smaller vessels than you. And that's not happening in our city. When I bike 8 minutes to my partner's house, I have cars tail me, honk at me, curse at me out the window, throw things at me, and there's just not safe places to ride bikes. I love to bike, and when you guys are making plans that could jeopardize having things like bike lanes, that not only hurts me, not only hurts the people I care about, but lots of people in Kalamazoo, people who are unhoused, families who like to ride with their children, so much more than just myself. And I think that by taking away that opportunity from people, that forces them to not be able to get places, to appointments, for fun, to anywhere. And we're a city who tries to pride ourselves on being open and accessible for the community, but when it comes to things that are outside of yourself, that doesn't happen. People don't consider people outside of themselves when it's not an issue that they don't face every day. So I encourage you guys to take that into consideration when you take away resources or when you make things harder for people to access, that just because you can access it doesn't mean everybody can, and that's not fair. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please. Seeing no one else, I want to say, yes.
Sorry, just had to go last. Had to let everyone get that in. Good evening. I stand here tonight not as a leader, but as a voice for the unheard, the unseen, and the misunderstood. I stand for those whose lives have been defined not by their worth, but by their circumstances. Every day we pass by people who have been cast aside, forgotten, and labeled as problems to solve instead of people to love. The truth is simple. We are not separate from them. Their struggles, their pain, their hopes, they are ours too. A community is only as strong as its weakest member. And yet here we are, in a moment where decisions are made that could either heal or harm. We are at a crossroads, defining point in this city's history. We will choose to lift people up, or will we choose to turn our backs? Will we create opportunities, or will we build barriers? The choice we make here will echo far beyond these walls. We are not defined by how we treat the powerful. We are defined by how we treat the vulnerable. We are defined by our ability to see humanity in those who have been stripped of it. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a city where empty buildings become sanctuaries, where surplus food fills empty stomachs, where lines that divide us dissolve, and we remember that we all walk under the same sky. Imagine a place where we don't just talk about compassion, we live it. This vision isn't just idealism, it's a challenge. It's a call to action. It's a reminder that greatness doesn't come from power, it comes from service. Tonight, I ask you to think not with just your heads, but your hearts. Look beyond statistics and budgets. See the faces of those who have nothing but still carry dreams. Understand that the solutions we seek are not found in punishment, but in possibility. History will remember what we do in this room. Generations from now, they will say, this was the moment they chose fear, or this is the moment they chose courage. Let's make sure we remember for the latter. To those who are listening, to those who have suffered, I want you to know this. You are seen and you are heard. Even if this world has told you otherwise, you are worthy of love and dignity. Tonight, I ask the city not to act out of fear or indifference, but out of the belief that we are better when we stand together. This is not just about policies, this is about people. This is about the kind of future we want to build, not just for ourselves, but for everyone. Let this be the city that leads by example. Let this be the place where change begins. Together we can create something extraordinary, but only if we choose to see each other, truly see each other for who we are, human. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to take advantage of this opportunity for public comments? Seeing no one, I would like to thank everyone that took the time, made the effort to come down here. I appreciate that, for contributing your thoughts and concerns here in public to the Kalamazoo City Commission. Next is the content.
You all to the ribbon cutting for the Tiny Houses of Hope, which is going to be on Thursday, December 12th at 2 o'clock at the corner of North Street and Northwest Edge. Those 3 Tiny Houses of Hope, the first part of the pilot project for people with very low income who are often turned away by other landlords because they have a criminal record and or substance abuse history. Thank you. Hope you can all be there.
Thank you. Next is the consent agenda. Manager Ritzman.
Following items are presented for approval. Item G1, approval of a 1-year contract extension with Gabriel Roeder Smith & Company for the purchase of actuarial services in the amount of $192,500. Next is the approval of a professional service agreement with Jones & Henry Engineers, Ltd. for the Sustainable Biosolids Alternatives Phase 2 project in the amount of $232,500. Next is the approval of the purchase of auto parts and lubricants from Napa Auto through the My Deal Cooperative Purchasing Program in the amount of $250,000. Next is the adoption of a resolution approving an Act 381 Brownfield Plan for the redevelopment project at 3607, 3619, and 3625 West Michigan Avenue. Next is the adoption of a resolution approving the schedule of regular city commission meetings for the 2025 calendar year. Next is the approval of the appointment of William Rowland to the Utility Policy Committee effective January 1, 2025. Next is the approval of a public utility easement with Bronson Properties Corporation for water main that is being installed as part of the Kalamazoo Airport Water Main Loop Project. And finally, approval of a public utility easement with Pavilion MFD LLC for a permanent auto flusher installed to support the Abbey 42 development in Pavilion Township.
Thank you, Manager Rissma. Commissioners, the requested action is a motion to approve items 1 through 8 and authorize the city manager to sign all related documents on behalf of the city. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Pradel, supported by Commissioner Cooney. Clerk Borling, please call the roll.
Commissioner Decker. Yes. Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hess.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The items on the consent agenda are approved. Next is the regular agenda, H. First, H1. Manager Rissma.
Approval of an agreement with the Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards for a 2023 Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Fund grant in the amount of $1,250,000 to help implement the Blueprint for Peace, and approval of a budget amendment in the same amount.
Thank you. Manager Rissma, do you have a staff report on this item?
Yeah, our Chief, David Boyson, will be giving a brief presentation on this item.
Chief Boyson, welcome. Nice to have you here. And Jen Hamos as well. All the Blueprint crew is going to come forward. Glad to hear that. I would hope that you will recognize everyone here on your team as well, Jen. Thank you.
Sure. Hi, everyone. It's been about a year. Good to see you. Do you want to start?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and Vice Mayor. Very exciting day to talk about this grant, and I brought, as you can see, a lot of reinforcements with me. With that, we'll get started here. There we go. So this is a grant from the Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards. It's a community policing grant that provides dollars for work with community and law enforcement partnerships to work collaboratively, in this case to help us reduce gun violence and do interventions before they happen. And so one of the things, we're going to go to the next one, is that this is based on it's based on departments that have strong community partnerships that are already doing this work. So when we heard about this grant, we thought this was a perfect opportunity, because that's one thing we have, as you can see here, is we have some awesome community partners that are already doing this work with us. So we were excited when we heard about this grant. Assistant Chief Jude approached the Michigan Transformation Collective and Griffin Place, who are already existing partners of this under the Blueprint for Peace, the work we were doing, and we requested for the request of a $1.25 million grant to support this work. So the group got together and met and identified 7 key initiatives that we are working on to, again, it's about collaboration to reduce gun violence and prevent things from happening in the first place. And it's that balance between outreach and enforcement that we know is so critical to this type of work. So after these 7 initiatives were identified, we're going to talk about in a second, we learned late this October that we were awarded the full amount of $1.25 million. So very exciting, and we're really looking forward to getting this work even further to the next level. So with that,
That's you.
That's me. So I already covered most of that, but again, this is to really support the existing work that we're already doing and to really build upon that. And it's about prevention and prompt response to gun violence through a community-based partnership. And includes support for street outreach workers. Some of them are here today, or public health workers, what we're also calling them. Our gun amnesty program, which we just started, safe storage initiatives, and community policing outreach, education, supplies, and materials. Again, it's about outreach and education to try to, again, get as many youth as we can involved and try to prevent shootings and violence before it happens.
This next one is Tia Whitley from Griffin Place.
Thank you so much. And as we talk about street outreach, we're also going to be discussing the coordination of street outreach. And so as Chief kindly mentioned that there is street outreach workers or public health workers who are already doing this work in the community. And so what this initiative is doing is bringing those individuals together to provide more of a concentrated effort of coordination of the work that is happening within our community. This gives the street outreach workers the opportunity to work together to help support the individuals or the families that are being served and connecting them to resources that are available in the community, including Griffin Place's Community Information Exchange, which is like, let's say 211 to the next level, right? So this is an opportunity to remove ourselves from the phone lines and provide in-person supports and coordinate resources and support to the individuals that are served through the street outreach efforts. We do have an individual that is helping with that coordination who's been hired into Griffin Place, who meets with the street outreach teams, who, when the street outreach is lacking, the street outreach workers are lacking some different resources in the community where there's some additional support that is needed, this individual will hold or be coordinating the funds that can help with some additional support that is available in the community. And it's all, this individual also bring the street outreach workers together to be able to work together using some common and shared language, having one intake system that will be able to, again, coordinate services that are available in the community as well. This effort is not done in siloed, and it is not done by just like MTC or law enforcement or Griffin Place saying like, this is what's going to happen. We all brought additional community members together through an advisory through Justice Lifted for arrest diversion, as well as a CIE advisory to bring other community partners together who are offering resources supports all together in one to be able to coordinate services for the individuals in our community who are in need.
Thank you, Tia. This one is the Michigan Transformation Collective, and this is for us to conduct convenings across the community in partnership with technical assistance from the Health Alliance for Violence Intervention. What this will do is help us establish a hospital-based violence intervention program with Bronson. We've been working on this for a few years, and it was exciting that this happened. It will bring trainings here to help us figure out what this is going to look like for Kalamazoo, because the way that the Health Alliance for Violence Intervention works, when they're conducting these types of convenings in partnership with a backbone organization, which is the Michigan Transformation Collective, is that it's not a template where they're like, okay, boop, here's a hospital-based violence intervention program, boop, here's one here. So we needed to make sure we had partnership from Bronson Hospital to do that. I just have Joel Muir here, who's the Director for Community Health Advancement at Bronson, just to speak about the support that Bronson has for this work.
Good evening. Yes, Bronson, we're really excited to continue this partnership with MTC. We've been supporting the Blueprint for a couple of years here. We know that as the only level 1 trauma center in Southwest Michigan, this is such an important issue for us to address. It's really a good chance for us to learn what this could look like right here in Kalamazoo. A hospital-based violence intervention program really is one of those key things we need right here, right now. This is one of those great ways to help us do that. So we're very supportive of being able to work with MTC again and continue this partnership.
One more partner who is very deep into this work is Michael Wilder, who's the co-founder of Peace During War. He's here with his beautiful family today, so thank you for being here, Michael. He's a leader in street outreach who works with social workers right now at Bronson to do community violence intervention work bedside. So he's just going to say a couple words about the importance of our public health workers or street outreach being in the hospital at the time of a gun violence incident.
Hello, how you doing? My name is Michael Wilder. I just want to say that Peace During War is a nonprofit organization geared at helping young people that have been impacted by gun violence to offer them the right resources that they need to make better decisions in their lives after they get out of the hospital. People that's been shot, Peace Doing War, we work closely with Eric Rodney, high social worker at Bronson Hospital, the whole social worker team up there. They give me a call, Peace Doing War, anytime someone is shot and they live after surgery, they ask them would they like to be mentored. And if they say yes, or they say no, I won't come. But if they say yes, they come and get me and my team. We go up, we talk to the victims about, people get shot one time and be dead. And here you are shot once or twice and you're alive. So now your life consists of what you were doing before you got shot and what your life will be consisted of after you've been shot. And that's what I teach them. Don't throw away the second chance at life that God has given you when some people get shot one time and be dead. So here you are alive. So we offer them resources about vengeance, retaliation. We talk to them about temperament and what probably led them to being shot in the first place. And we just address those things and we pray, and then we give them phone numbers and resources to contact us when they get out of the hospital. And they usually do. So it's very powerful. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. He can't do that alone, so that's the importance of the HAVI coming to Kalamazoo County in 2025. All right, back to you, Tia.
So community trainings led by Griffin Place. So Griffin Place offers suicide prevention and intervention training as we are trying to, our goal in leading this effort is to have a suicide-safe community. Alongside with our suicide intervention and prevention trainings, we also have restorative justice training, where we are training individuals in the community on how to help others repair harm, as well as holding others accountable, as well as having this sense of healing and peace as we work through conflict in a healthy, safe, and productive way. And so we would like to take our trainings a step further by offering them free to the community, and that's the suicide intervention training, as well as our restorative justice trainings available to the community, so that we have a community of individuals who are able to address suicide and support individuals who are having a suicidal ideation or behaviors. They could be family members, they could be work colleagues, just anybody in the community who would be a person that will be able to help someone who is struggling. With our restorative justice training, again, it's an opportunity of us as community members seeing people who are in conflict and helping them and talking with them and working with them and addressing conflict in a healthy way. And so these trainings, again, would be made available free to the community to rally around each other as a community of support to individuals who are in crisis and conflict.
Tia, don't move. This is you and you. So the fifth of 7, don't worry, we're almost through the list, is years 2 and 3 of the Community Violence Intervention Professional Certificate Program at KVCC. And what I'll say before I pass it to Tia and then to Yafencio Harris, who is the co-founder of Peace During War and one of our technical assistance fellows at the Michigan Transformation Collective, is that our first cohort went through already this year, year 1. They will be able, when we go back to the HAVI, be trained with the HAVI technical assistance in hospital-based violence intervention. So everything is connected. So that's what I'll say before I pass it to you.
Put me on the spot. So the CVI Professional Certificate Program, again, this is an opportunity to bring individuals together who are doing street outreach and professionalize the work that they are doing. These individuals, many of them are doing them for free. We want to provide an opportunity for them to be trained by seasoned professionals in the CVI realm, as well as get some community trainers by individuals in our community who are very knowledgeable in helping to address crisis and conflict that is going on in our community. And so with this training, those individuals will receive a professional certificate from Kalamazoo Valley Community College. So it's real thing. They're getting to get again, a certificate from an accredited college that they will be able to carry on with them as they continue on in their career fields. And by participating in that, they also join, again, this community of practice of individuals who are doing street outreach or public health work, where we're all coming together to work together within our community.
Yafencio, or Big B, will be an instructor in the academy next year, the certificate program. So I just want to have him talk a little bit about just his experience and what he'll be modeling for the future public health workers next year.
Okay, now, I'm not sure how I want to put it, but I think it's great. What's happening is an ecosystem of support is being put together, and I feel like we're just the pilot leaders of it, but we are regrooming individuals in the community to understand what a community is. Transformation takes investments, and so we as a whole are the investment. And with these different entities linking up together, it's suiting everyone tailored up. So if an individual has a hospital call, you'll have individuals on that call. Some individuals have invisible disabilities. They don't comprehend or understand quite what's going on. They say yeah, no to whatever they feel like they may feel. We have other resources for that, mental health resources. We have different resources with boots on the ground with other outreach workers as well in Kalamazoo who are doing awesome work and leading individuals in their atmosphere as well. Everyone has a piece of the community in that area where they're noticed and upheld by individuals in the community who know them, who are willing to talk to them and conversate with them about the support, the kind of support that they need, all the way up into burial. You know, we're having someone getting buried. So it's big. I think it's super big. The education I've learned through this journey thus far is amazing to me. The cities I've traveled to and met with other individuals who are super knee deep inside of this thing, from city officials to state representatives. I feel like it's only going to get bigger, and Kalamazoo is a real blueprint for what's about to happen to the state of Michigan. Appreciate y'all time.
I told you we had a good team doing some work here. So, and this isn't all of them. This is just a sample of the people doing some really great work. But one of the things also is creating safe places to do the work. And so we know that our FUSIS integrated camera system that we launched a little over a year ago now has really done a lot to help us create safe places in our community. So one of the things that we're going to do as part of this is Griffin Place, which is where a lot of the mediations, interventions, a lot of the street outreach meetings will be at that location. That will be part of the integrated FUSIS platform, just to create safe places to do this work. And again, it's really important to create safe space, not just for the staff that works there, but for the people that are obtaining services through this work to have a safe place where they can go.
And I know that, you know, there may be some who are not aware, but Griffin Place has now returned back to downtown Kalamazoo. So this is our second facility where we are providing in-person services, where the CIE program will be out of, with all of our CVI programs will be initiated out of as well. And so the Griffin Place's core center, Community Outreach Resources and Restorative Engagement Center, is located at 505 Park Street, which many may know as the formerly KPEP building, is now where the core center for Griffin Place is located.
And it looks great, so take a ride by there. Lastly, of course, evaluation, and so we'll have Dr. Nightingale Lee talk about that, coming from the Lewis Walker Institute.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bianca Nightingale Lee, Director of the Lewis Walker Institute for Race and Ethnic Relations at Western Michigan. Really excited to be a part of this work. Our goal is to ensure that the outcomes that are projected in this plan are thoroughly executed, and so we'll be in contact with all of the partners in this plan through focus groups as well as surveys to ensure that we are executing to the top of our ability. Honored again to be a part of this work. Thank you.
Lastly, just a thank you, and I wanted to highlight with this grant, that the majority of it goes to community-based organizations, and it shows the investment that Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety and the City of Kalamazoo has in its partners and in collaboration. This is unique for a community to be in deep partnership in this way, and it's work that took time to build. I'm happy to not be here up by myself talking about the blueprint a year later. So just thank you, Chief, and thank you to all of our community partners. Questions from anyone?
Just a quick one, Ms. May, would you be willing to introduce the one individual who didn't get a speaking part? Just so.
I haven't seen walking.
This is Lawrence Calbert. Lawrence is the street outreach coordinator, that position we discussed that will be housed out of Griffin Place.
Thank you so much. Questions, commissioners? Commissioner Hoffman.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to see this happen. You know, we're often criticized about the work that we're doing from the dais and our ability to invest in work that's happening that may not be so outwardly, but we know that it is significant. So I just want to say congratulations for 1.25 million. Like that's not easy money. Like, so I really am proud to be a part of this community and that we are committed to reducing gun violence to where we may not ever have another person die by gun violence. So I'm excited about that. I have a question in reference to the certificate program. And with this amount of funding, are we going to be able to pay those who have been doing this work that are volunteering or getting a stipend? Is this the time that we can give them a thriving wage? Because this work is dangerous. And to continue to ask our residents to do this work without compensation is not good. So is this going to really increase with that certificate, especially once you get certified, you know the money got to come.
So a short answer, yes. And it has also been built into the grant to be able to fund individuals that are actively out and doing the work, yes.
Thank you for that.
Other questions, Commissioner? Commissioner Pradle.
Sure, thank you all for being here tonight. I think the quote I love the most tonight was Big B. You said, what's happening is an ecosystem is being put together. And that's powerful, right? That's powerful. And I think that's what's the magic sauce to this, and why, you know, when you mentioned that what's being put together, you know, we're going to look back from this 10 years and remember the advent of when all this started together. And, you know, you all have been a part of it. So thank you. I had a couple questions. One of them was the HAVI program, HAVI program. You mentioned that that's a program that like comes here. And could you describe that a little bit more about what that looks like and, you know, what
Sure.
organization
So
facilitates that?
they are technical assistants similar to Reggie Moore, who I have worked with for the last few years, who advises or who advised me on like what to do, who to bring together. Am I doing the right thing? Can I call you and cry for a second? So they're kind of like the bigger entity that does that for our organization. What we're looking at right now is technical assistance that's provided to the City of Kalamazoo for the work in building out the hospital-based violence intervention program that we had initially talked about long ago with Bronson. There are three trainings right now that we're starting with, along with monthly, I think 3 times a month, any technical assistance that's needed and a site visit here. The first is for folks who are on the ground doing the work. It's just about how you work with a hospital. Like, what are things to remember? What does it look like to do that? There's a lot of bureaucracy. Like, what do you do? So that's the first level of training. The second is for people within the hospital who might supervise or have to be in deep conversation with folks who are on the ground doing the work. So what are the ways that you need to operate, because you might not be used to working with people who have lived experience in the way that our public health workers have lived experience. The third level is for the C-suite of the hospital, and it's just like, this is what you need to know. So that's what we have right now. We have community convening that we'll need to have similar to what we've been doing for the last 3 years. That's like, okay, who's interested in being a part of the hospital-based violence intervention program? Let's all get in a room and talk about how we can build this. So they're the experts that have been doing this for a very long time, and we don't want to do it by ourselves. So it'll be helpful to have them here.
That's really amazing. Yeah, thanks for sharing a little bit more about that as well. And then I had another question as well. I know Griffin Place has had a capital campaign to help raise funds for the new downtown core center. You know, in case people are watching or want to learn more about supporting that project, are you still trying to raise funds for that? Is the mission accomplished? Have you raised all the funds for it? Just kind of curious about where that stands.
Our CEO, Maricela Alcala, is actually here with us today, who would be more knowledgeable in being able to answer that question.
Hello, everyone. Our campaign ends at the end of December. We still have $201,000 to raise.
Our campaign ends at the end of the December, and we still have $200,000 more to raise.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Kuhn? Vice Mayor Hess? Okay, Vice Mayor Hess?
I'll go. Actually, I recall when, I know pieces of this were happening years ago, and then we had a large spike in our gun violence, and we had to do something, and Commission said, this is a priority for us, and this is not us, but then we saw the Blueprint for Peace come along, and like, where's this going to go, and who's going to do this? And this is the work that is unfolding right before our very eyes, and I so appreciate that from all of you. So thank you, and now it's being supported by this amazing grant. Who else, Jen, do you see being a part of this as it evolves? You know, who else in this community is stepping up?
There are so many partners. I can't name all of them, but what I will say, when it comes to stepping up, something that we are interested in cultivating and just continue to talk about are young people who are ready to come in and realize a path for themselves that is that of a public health worker. What does it look like to do that? How do you stay away from the life? As Bea and Mike talk, they can talk more about that, but really, like, we are all getting older. Like, we cannot do this work forever. What does the next generation look like that's doing this work? And again, the professionalization of this field is national. It's important, and it's growing. There are thousands of people who are lifting up young people across the country to do more of this work. So that's one piece of it. The other piece is anyone who is involved in Medicaid reimbursement. We are working to advocate for that at the state level. Several of us will be in Lansing on Wednesday, if the weather holds, doing some advocacy there to think about how we can build sustainable pathways for this. So folks who know about that, please reach out to us at the Michigan Transformation Collective.
I'm just so grateful for your work. Thank you all so much.
Commissioner Wilson.
Thanks, Mayor. Thank you all for this great work. I was very happy to see, let me go back. I'm a firm believer in unhealed trauma being the root cause of a lot of our issues that we face today, particularly with gun violence. So I was very pleased to see that you guys mentioned quite a bit about offering these resources to help with the healing process. As you mentioned, these programs have to be elected into, which is often why certain members of the community aren't able to take advantage of these opportunities to heal. So I was wondering what strategies are we exploring to kind of dispel some of that misinformation or stigma surrounding seeking mental health guidance?
Turn it to the expert here.
I always call on the big guy when they need it done right. I was groomed in the mental health field, which helped me with a great level of humility. I was one-sided because of my struggles and my pain, as many others. When you fighting to survive life, you really can't see nothing else happening outside of that, and sometimes you really don't care. So we're not in a finesse game here. I just believe love heals, because that's what individuals did for me. They poured into me with love, and that was the only medicine I really needed. It wasn't Tylenol, it wasn't drugs, it wasn't nothing else, and I couldn't see that. But people were so gentle with me, I didn't even know how to send an email, man. You know what I'm saying? So when you asked me to go somewhere and do some paperwork that I had already seen 70 times before, still nobody had helped me, it was like re-triggering me. I didn't know I was being triggered until I went through my trainings. So we are putting these things in individuals' faces. We're having these conversations, giving you not just information, but also access. So the only person that's in your way is you. And we are there to root for you, to make sure that we want you to know that you can overcome anything, because it's happening every day to others, and we could be an example for them to believe that they could be better, and we all better together.
Better together. I got that on my hat. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and just to touch on that, is what makes this special is that people like Efincio and Michael and a lot of these other street outreach workers that have lived experience that can relate to these people, they develop rapport and personal relationships with them because how much they care. You can see how much they care. And when people on the street know that you care, they're willing to listen, and they get people to take advantage of services and get help that normally they would never even think of getting. And so that's what makes this really special, is people that are willing to be out in the field. And Michael and I have been doing this together for over 10 years now, actually more like 12 or 13 years now. And I'm telling you, those relationships are real, and people sense that, and that's what makes it effective.
Yeah, I love that. Love and compassion heals, and without that, they can't have that trust to work from. So appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Cooney.
Thank you, Mayor. So I want to thank the chief and Assistant Chief Jude for applying for this grant. And I want to thank Jennifer for her vision to bring this through for all these years. And the all-star cast that you got there is just great. Wonderful. I was wondering if Efincio and Michael could say a little bit more about change of status, and is Momentum program going to start again? What's going on with you guys?
Change of status and Momentum are within the Urban Alliance umbrella, and my ED, unfortunately, is not here tonight, but those things will be taken off at the top of the year, which are in place right now, ongoing and running, but the new cohorts will be taken off at the top of the year. The list is amazing. Urban Alliance has become a major hub inside the city for a great resource, and as you can see, the resources needed, and individuals are willing to step up.
Thank you.
And the history behind me and Mike, we just a basic blueprint to let people know that love heals. As everyone know, that me and Mike warred in the streets years ago, right here in Kalamazoo, being part of the problem. His friend killed my cousin, so we got a dead body between us. And forgiveness is in our peace during war. Love, learn, forgive. If we can learn to love one another, forgive each other for our back yesterday gone, and we can forgive each other for our differences that we had, and reimagine and redefine how we could be better together as a real community, that we can move forward. And that's called reconciliation. And that's what me and Mike represent. And we're trying to hand that down to the youth as well. We're not asking nobody to be nothing they want to be. We're not asking nobody to jeopardize their manhood, to step into no zone they don't understand. But please just give us time to listen and proofread what we're showing you, that it can be done, and we can save lives, and we can make safer communities out here for everybody.
And Peace Doing War also invites all organizations that are risking their lives out here in the city to combat this gun violence. We want anybody that wants to be a part of the program that can reach the youth to come visit with us and sit with us, and let's sit down and come up with ideas where we can all really lower the gun violence in our city.
So I just want to say, if there was ever a model of collective response, this is it.
Thank you, Commissioner Cooney. Commissioner Decker?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you guys for all the work that you do. Thank you, Chief, for finding the money. Appreciate that, to be able to continue this good work. I do have a question regarding, how do you think the relationship with some of the individuals that we're working with now, how has that helped the relationship within KDPS, with the officers and the individuals that are, working through their violence, going through the training, going through the program, working with you guys? How do you guys see that relationship as it comes to the youth and our KDPS police force?
Of course, police and community don't got the best relationship all over the world. But Small steps, like I said, bringing in one at a time, each individual. Relationships are new currency. It's better than money. So without those relationships, without the alliance with the police, we're not here to defund them we're here to redefine public safety and reimagine it, meaning that he has armor he don't have to check and look for. He can understand that a parent may not know how to hold a child down on her own because of her stress and her pain, but it is someone that's willing to help guide that young man or that young sister to a better mindset, which is driving the behavior. So bringing them into every police may not be the right thing all the time, but unfortunately, unfortunately for those that doubt it, you will see it because they have programs like POW, right? They have different programs that the kids are welcoming, and we have to look to the kids and explain to them what they don't understand, because sometimes we don't understand it, right? My people taught me not to deal with the police at all. My first meeting with the police, I didn't want to get out the car. I had a warrant. I'm like, I'm not going up in there. You know what I'm saying? But I was doing something different. I was taking different steps. I was building relationships that I didn't know was waiting on me with open arms. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad that I got out that car. And I'm glad I went to that meeting. And I got that warrant taken care of.
And because of who we are reaching young men who are deep into gun violence, and they're willing to put their guns down because of people like us and the other outreach workers that can get low to the ground and reach them. So this work is deeper than what you see us here in this room, but we out there with real killers, getting their guns out of their hands. We getting them working, we getting them rethinking, we teaching them that they're worth more than their guns, and they listening to us.
Good evening. To speak on what you were just talking about, there was a former president that once said that you don't make allies with friends, you make them with your enemies. So some of the issue has to come with transparency and trust. Every Wednesday, we have meetings. Some of the other street outreach workers like myself have meetings with police officers to talk to strategize and look at incidents with youth and others that have had contact with law enforcement. And it's through those meetings and through that transparency that we create a plan to have restorative conversations and interventions with those families to try to get them resources, to try to get those youth into programs so that we can divert them from continuing what they're doing. Because as some of the things that I've seen, the aftermath of those things is where a lot of our money also goes to. If we're talking about families that need to pay for funeral expenses, or families that are being evicted from houses, or families that are now feeling unsafe and insecure in their community because of the actions of gun violence. A lot of our work is also dealing with that aftermath. But if we can, and we have been doing to try to prevent it in the first place, same thing with partnering with passers on patrol with the gun amnesty to take the weapons off of the streets in the first place so they don't have them. These things that are being funded will have real world peaceful and positive implications in our city. So just something else to think about.
I think lastly, if you have told like young education justice organizer Jenny in her 20s that I would be working with the police chief, even 3 years ago when we first sat down, and I was like, I don't know. This has been just a journey. There's trauma there's experienced by myself and my family from the police. There are a lot of things that I had to work through, which I have, and a lot of those were through conversations with chief, with assistant chief, on site visits with them. Like, these are things that I needed to open myself up to just try and see if we could build this relationship, which we have, and it's something I'm very proud of in my work. And thank you for doing that.
Any other questions, colleagues? All right. So, hey, just a couple of things here. one thing we do hear often are people concerned about issues in the community and asking us to do something about it, which is fair enough. But the next step of that is people actually getting together and working across boundaries. And let's face it, even in a town like Kalamazoo, sometimes nonprofits are competing with each other for funding, if nothing else, or you have different approaches. But an example, as you mentioned, Commissioner Cooney, of people getting together, willing to work through those issues, from big institutions like Bronson to institutions that were started by two people, peace during war, and trying to find a way to actually create positive outcomes. And as a fact of the matter is, this is the only way it happens. So I have the honor of actually knowing most of you personally. I know your hearts, and I just want to say thank you to each of you as individuals and to your organizations that are supporting doing this work together. I can't tell you how much it means to us up here, and even more importantly, to our team at Public Safety, which is out, responding to these events and, in the street doing that work, and really understand that the way to get to this is prevention and being proactive rather than just continue to respond and dealing with the trauma of that. So I just can't tell you how much we appreciate your efforts and want to make sure that this work continues together. So thank you so very, very much. Thanks, Steve. Okay, so that was the staff report. Thank you, Ms. Risma. And I think we got our questions answered. Is there anyone in the audience here in the chambers who would like to comment on this item?
You mean like the gang violence and stuff? I think this is the approach we need to take. This is the first time I'm hearing of all this, and I completely align with all of it. Just y'all are doing great work, and I just want to say y'all keep going, because it's only gonna get better. And like you said, one person at a time. That's how you do it. I've personally been affected by gang violence. So I just want to say that it means a lot that some people are working on it. So it brings a lot of peace to my heart, and I just want to say thank y'all. I'm not trying to take too much time, so thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to comment on this particular item? It's H1.
Hi, my name is Briante Coleman, Northside resident. I was shot in the back July 31st over the summer, walking to this door, nothing to do with nothing. I was seeking change, but didn't really know how to go about it. Heard about COS, change of status, and it really helped me and set me on the path of positivity. First, I thought it was the building that was amazing, but it's really the people that's in the building that show so much love and poured into me and got me wanting to strive to do better for myself and my community. And you need people who can talk to the people, who know their language, who can relate, you know what I mean? And that's it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Is there anyone else in the chambers this evening who would like to comment on this item? Seeing no one, the recommended action is a motion to approve the grant agreement and budget amendment. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Hoffman,
Second.
supported by Vice Mayor Hess. Any further discussion, commissioners? Yes, Vice Mayor Hess.
Thank you, Mayor. If you've talked to me for 5 minutes, I will have mentioned education. Most of you know that by now. But this program redefines education in Kalamazoo. This is real education in Kalamazoo. This is drawing forth the best self. And this is how we do it. This is true education. This is education of the heart. It's education of the whole person. And I can't be more grateful for this money, but the money is simply a tool for being able to forge these transformative educational relationships and healing relationships. I, for one, will be voting for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Hess. Any other discussion? Seeing none, Clerk Borling, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hoffman?
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hess?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney? Yes. Commissioner Decker?
Thank you so much, Commissioners. The motion passes. Thank you. Next on the agenda is item H2. Manager Ritzma.
Approval of a one-year contract extension with SWT Excavating Incorporated for the 2025 new water service installation project in the amount of $1,426,680.56.
Thank you, Manager Ritzma. Do you have a staff report prepared for this item?
We do not, but Director Baker is available if there are any questions.
All right, thank you so much. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Director Baker? There's more of our water work going on here, which we've been talking about quite a bit. Seeing no questions at this time, is there anyone here in the chambers that would like to comment on this item H2? See no one. Commissioners, the recommended action is a motion to approve. Is there a motion? Commissioner Decker made the motion.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Cooney. Any discussion? Thank you, Commissioners. I'll just say thank you, Director Baker, for making sure we keep doing the good work here. Appreciate that very much. Clerk Borling, please call the roll.
Commissioner Pradel?
Excuse me. Yes.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hess?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney?
Yes.
Commissioner Decker?
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The motion passes. Next on the agenda is item H3. Manager Ritzma.
Adoption of an ordinance to amend certain sections of Chapter 38 of the Kalamazoo City Code to change the rates charged for drinking water.
Thank you, Manager Ritzma. So we've been having extended discussions on this, including a committee of the whole presentation. So there has been a lot of communication and information provided. However, were you planning for some
Yes.
more?
We have one brief presentation
Okay.
by Director Baker. This will cover items H3 and H4.
Okay, thank you so much, Manager Ritzma, and welcome up, Director Baker.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, City Commissioners, City Manager. As stated, this is a topic that we've been over quite a bit here in the last few meetings. We've had over 3 public presentations on these topics, and just in review ahead of the vote tonight, we did want to go ahead and kind of recap everything, talk about the utility, who we serve, what we do as a utility. Our water utility serves 11 communities along the I-94 corridor, from Oshimo to the west, all the way out into Richland Township in the east. We're the 5th largest utility in the state of Michigan, 2nd largest groundwater utility. Wastewater is a slightly different service area. We serve 22 communities in wastewater, and a lot of that is through partnerships with other communities to provide treatment for the retail services they provide to their customers. The wastewater treatment plant is also very unique in how it was designed and built to serve our community. In terms of scope, we provide treatment to over 27 million gallons per day. That's over 1 million gallons per hour. We've got a very robust capital improvement plan that we have been embarking upon since around 2017. That capital plan is proposed to progress out yet another 5 years as we continue to tackle lead service line replacements, cast iron water main replacements in coordination with street projects. We've got a whole host of station treatment projects at both the water treatment plants and at the wastewater treatment plant. We've come a very long way with odor improvement at the wastewater treatment plant. We've finished several projects this year. We've got several more projects in the pipeline, so to speak. And we've also been working on a very large project that we should be applying for funding for at the wastewater treatment plant to really address the cost of biosolids as well as the community impacts of biosolids at the treatment plant. You know, we've come a long way with water affordability. We now have a program in place that's operational. Our program has been studied and evaluated, and we've taken more steps, and we're going to continue to make more steps to improve that program. Some of the things that we've learned over the last year that we really wanted to highlight is that there is a difference, so to speak, between the ability to pay for water and folks' desire to pay for water. And so we've done some things with maps. We've overlaid different responses to bills if folks pay, you know, at the past due notice versus shut off notice. And we've narrowed these groups down. So we understand we've got about 300 families, not just in Kalamazoo, but across all the communities that we serve that, you know, certainly do need some help with their water bills. As we narrow that group down, we've got 9 families, not just in the city of Kalamazoo, but across our entire system that really need some help with the water bill. Those 9 families have gone several days without water because they did not have the ability to connect to resources. So we're taking more steps to connect people to resources. We're doing more with the bill in the envelope. You know, we're going to post on the outside of the envelope how to get help and what resources are available. We're now have ads in Excelsior magazine that goes out to all Kalamazoo Promise families. We're going to be doing more in-person CAA events to where you can come and get qualified for assistance for your water bill. And, you know, this is something that we're just going to continue to advertise and push out there, including media advertisements on our radio, pushing things out there, and postcards and that sort of thing. So we're not going to stop talking about water affordability. In fact, we're going to be talking about that more. In terms of, you know, where does this all put us from rates? You know, we talked about the work we do, operations and maintenance of these systems. These are big systems. We provide service for most all of the county and in wastewater beyond Kalamazoo County. We talked about this very impressive capital improvement program to get after lead service line replacements and a whole host of infrastructure focused work, both in water and wastewater. We've got very in-depth rate studies from folks that provide us that work in water, as well as folks that provide us that work in wastewater. Total combined, when we look at water and wastewater together, that would create an impact of about $5 a month. You know, there's some differential between where you sit on city and township. Those will be coming together over time as the inside and outside kind of balance out over time. We wanted to show a comparison where Kalamazoo is with respect to outside other communities. You see that right now we're the second lowest in the state, right between Muskegon and Wyoming. With the proposed rate increases, this deck will shuffle a little bit, if you will. Kalamazoo will move ahead a little bit, and then we'll be the third overall lowest in the state. This position is not too uncommon. We actually went back and looked to see where we were at in 2017 when we embarked upon this very robust capital improvement program. And when we started the 500 lead service line replacements per year, we were at the lowest in the state next to Muskegon and Wyoming. So 7 years later, we're still neck and neck with Muskegon and Wyoming. We see that although we have been raising rates, we've been doing this work in support of our capital program. We also understand these other Michigan communities are doing this work as well. So overall, we're still in pace with other Michigan communities, and we remain below average across the state. We'll be coming back next year for some similar recommendations. Based on what we know today, we will come back next year for a 5% recommendation for a rate increase in water and a 12% system rate increase for a recommendation in wastewater, knowing what we know today with the capital program. We did want to highlight the very positive work folks, both not only in public services, but also in management services. You know, we want to give a shout out to Steve Vicenzi and his group of folks in management services, as well as the support that we receive for the city manager's office to bring dollars into Kalamazoo. Over $43 million have been brought into Kalamazoo in grants outside of rate. So this is dollars that have come in, that have gone to infrastructure, that have not gone into rates because they've been a grant. And so that we've been able to really do more work than just what we've been supporting locally in rates. You know, we did want to highlight the role of the UPC, the Utility Policy Committee, in the recommendation of support for the water wastewater rate increases. We've had many presentations. All of our presentations, including the community of the whole and presentations in front of the City Commission, are available on the Public Media Network. So if you're interested, there's over a 2-hour presentation at the wastewater treatment plant that we provided to some of our industrial users and our partner communities that really went into some very deep details on wastewater. That's a great presentation for anybody that's interested. And of course, all the City Commission meetings, including committees of the whole, are also available there as well. So just wanted to wrap that up for everybody, and we're available for questions or comments any commissioners may have. Thank you.
Thank you again, Director Baker. Questions for Director Baker? Commissioner Decker? No? Well, okay. Okay, Vice Mayor Hess.
I'll ask it. Hey, Director Baker, you did talk about the CAA and affordability and all that. We tend to see also social media posts where people are outraged at the increase in their water bills. Where can they go with that? 311? Is 311 the major thing where people can go and ask for help if they feel like their water bill has exponentially increased?
You certainly. So if you call, you'll feel that the bill you receive is not correct. That is a valid call. Perhaps there is an errant meter reading. Maybe there's a leak. So we can help work through that. We've had that call. That's a very common call. Somebody gets a water bill in the mail and it's head and shoulders above where they think it is. Yeah, please give us a call. We can work through and troubleshoot that. We've got many positive community examples where we were able to step in and reread a bill, figure out where the problem was. Maybe there was a leak. We have a leak adjustment policy as well. And so whether you're a church or a homeowner or anything in between, if there's a problem with the bill, please do give us a call, and give us a call at 311, or if you live outside the city, 337-8000, and tell us what's going on, and we'll work through you, make sure that we have a solution in place. But we do expect that we're going through a rate increase, and so bills that go out on or after January 1st will include that new rate.
Great, thank you so much. And just a reminder, because they're quarterly, we say $5 a month. Your bill may increase $15 or $20.
Correct. We still bill quarterly for residential accounts, so in terms of what you would see on your bill, it'd probably be about $15 increase.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Commissioner Pradel.
Director Baker, question I haven't asked recently, might be helpful for you to share again, is when people see their rate increases for water or wastewater utilities, how is this different than something like getting your cell phone bill and seeing that rate increase? Can you talk a little bit about how this is not a for-profit enterprise? Effectively what you're paying for is what you're getting. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, certainly, and that's a great question. In that we're not a for-profit agency. We're completely self-supportive. So essentially we're a community-owned system. These 11 communities that provide for that water system and the 22 communities that provide for the wastewater system, all the infrastructure, all the operations and maintenance, all the repair, all the replacement, including those lead services and the cast iron water main and all the projects we talk about, are all funded through rates. That's where we get dollars from. Now, we've been very successful in that we brought in $43 million through competitive grants. Those are not freebies. Those were not giveaways. We were competitive in that work. So we're bringing in dollars as well. So it is not an apples to apples comparison for some of these utilities that may be for profit in terms of why that bill increases. So we don't have shareholders. We don't trade on the stock market. We don't have a requirement to make a profit or provide a system benefit to shareholders. There is a rate of return requirement of the utility. Those dollars stay in the utility. So there are financial metrics, but those financial metrics support the utility itself.
And effectively, we're all owners, if you will, of that public utility as well. So,
correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Prado. Other questions for Director Baker? All right. Thank you so much, Director Baker. And like you said, you've been here multiple times presenting on this, some in more extended fashion, a little more condensed tonight. But thanks for all your effort in communicating all this information. It's very helpful. I appreciate that. Yeah. Just as an aside here, yes, rates are going to go up. There's no profit in it. This is a self-supporting system. There's been some questions that I've gotten also about, well, why don't you just fund this with a general fund? Well, this is multiple communities. We're, for better or for worse, we're not going to use city general funds to support this entity. This is a widely supported entity across many communities that happens to be managed and owned by the city of Kalamazoo. But it is the case that, and I've just experienced this recently in a property, something as simple as a toilet running for a month will have a dramatic effect on your water bill. So it is time to, when you're thinking about that, if you got one of those toilets like, oh, there it is, I hear it running again, that flapper doesn't sit down tight, it sits there and runs, it's not a little thing. That happens for a few weeks, you will most certainly notice on your bill. So that is one way when you're doing this work, and I know that you are offering to help people also figure out how to save on their water usage at home, which is a direct way that you can put in water-saving shower heads, for example, things like that. There is support for that effort as well. Thank you again. Thank you, Manager Risma. And let me see here. I guess we need a motion, don't we? Okay.
So
thank you. I was just reminded, is there anyone who would like to comment on this item? All right, seeing no one, the recommended action is a motion to adopt the ordinance. Is there a motion? Motion made by Commissioner Decker.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Prado. Any further discussion?
Mayor.
Commissioner Prado.
Good to share, because just some quick thoughts about this. I know we spent quite a few meetings talking about this, but just want to thank those people who are ratepayers for the hardship it costs each year to see these rate increases. It's definitely a tough pill to swallow, and especially when you have conflicting pressures as a household or a family to try to afford everything. It is a very hard time to try to juggle all those things. But likewise, the city and our community has a tremendous amount to juggle to make sure that we can provide a safer community, like the work that we're doing with replacing thousands of lead service lines throughout the community, making sure that our water is free of PFAS chemicals or forever chemicals. It's about quality of life investment. When you look at, we've reduced 89% reduction in hydrogen sulfide levels in the air in just the last 4 years to improve quality of life and health for residents who for decades were plagued with odor and issues with air quality. It's about building an infrastructure system for the future, recognizing things like climate change and having that ready and resiliency so that we can thrive and be forward thinking as a community. It's about redundancy so that we don't end up like a community like Jackson, Mississippi, where the whole system fails and we don't have backups and backups for backups in case something bad happens. It's about being good stewards of these dollars, which is why you saw us investing devoting city resources to seeking $43 million of grants, which is money that we otherwise would have been paying for generations as a community. It's about investing in innovation, which we've, even in the agenda today about biosolids, where we talked about how a few years ago we were spending $4 million to have waste removed on trucks. Today it's $15 million. So we're being good stewards with those dollars to try to figure out how to do that cheaper for the community. It's about doing things all at once so that instead of us just repaving a road and then come winter digging it back up because the water main breaks, we're doing it all in one swoop. And it's about making sure that we're thoughtful about making sure that resources are available to families when it is out of reach and unaffordable. And I'm really proud of Director Baker and the team for making sure that they're being thoughtful about that and making sure that resources are available to people. But the overall message is that there's a lot to do for each person and each family and figure out how to afford all these things. There's a lot to do and a lot to afford as a city. And so thank you to everybody for, being willing to step forward each year to make sure that we can continue this progress because it is a hardship for us all. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Pradel. Well put. Any other discussion? Clerk Borland, please call a roll.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hess.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney.
Yes.
Commissioner Decker.
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The motion passes. Next on the agenda is item H4. Manager Risma.
Adoption of a resolution detailing the rates charged for wastewater services as authorized by Chapter 28 of the Kalamazoo City Code.
Thank you, Manager Risma. Director Baker's presentation did include water and wastewater. Are there any specific questions from Commission for Director Baker on this item? All right, seeing none, is there anyone in the chambers who would like to comment on this item, item H4? Seeing no one, the recommended action is a motion to adopt the resolution. Is there a motion? Motion made by Commissioner Cooney.
Support.
Supported by Vice Mayor Hess. Any further discussion, Commissioners? Seeing none, Clerk Borland, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Hess.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney. Yes. Commissioner Decker. Yes. Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The motion passes. Next are reports and legislation. Manager Risma.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I got to really talk directly into this for some reason tonight, so hopefully you can hear me. I have a few announcements and then a couple of staff recognitions. So first of all, oh, thank you. Wow. Okay. I want to remind everyone that there is as part of our IK 2035, we have a community book read, which is Happy City by Charles Montgomery. And we have a listening session, a book event coming up, open to the public to discuss the book at Northside Association for Community Development at the Elma Powell branch. Tuesday, December 10, 6:30 to 8 p.m. And then again, Friday, January 31st, where you'll be able to meet the author, and a presentation will be given at the Civic Theater at 7 p.m. Also, we have our Michigan Avenue Design Open House, which was to be held this coming week, December 5th, Thursday, has been postponed until Thursday, January 16th at 5:30 p.m. at the KMAC location at 315 West Michigan Avenue. So don't show up this Thursday, but come Thursday, January 16th. Also, we talked a little bit, or you heard some comments about warming shelters. I don't have any specific information on times related to warming shelters. I do know that Ministry with Community is open during the day for as a warming shelter, and then extreme weather or inclement weather, the gospel mission will be open to during the day for folks to get out of the elements. And then there is a warming shelter at Westminster Presbyterian Church in Portage. Again, I don't have the hours available, but they are opening up. So if there are extreme events that are coming up, I'm sure there'll be more warming shelters announced, and we'll make sure the public knows about that. Just a couple of staff recognitions in our IT department, information technology. So we all realize how important IT is. Just everything we do during the day relies on it. And we have a couple of folks, Andy Miller and Mason Koshin, that do above and beyond work for us. Andy handles our network and providing critical security updates, which means those are done outside of business hours. So he has she has a difficult job scheduling that, but we appreciate all that she's doing there. And then the IT Mason, our network engineer, has implemented efficient network topology to install fiber optic and firewalls across our 19 locations. So we really appreciate the work both of them do to keep and maintain a reliable network and a safe system. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Manager Risma. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the recognition of great team members here at the city. Now is the opportunity for commissioner comments. Are there any commissioners? Yeah, Commissioner Wilson.
Thanks, Mayor. Firstly, I wanted to send my heartfelt condolences to one of our community activists, Shona Espinoza. I want to recognize the strength and commitment to your community that it must have taken for you to come out and advocate this evening, even through your pain. So appreciate you for that, and again, sending love and light to you and your family. Secondly, I just wanted to thank the community for braving the cold last week and joining us for what's quickly become one of my favorite commission traditions, and that is lighting the park up, Bronson Park. Every year, we're fortunate to get the opportunity to read, sing, and count down with Mr. and Mrs. Claus. And it never fails, but every time the lights turn on, it feels like there's a bunch of holiday magic that just spreads throughout the city. So thanks again, everyone, for coming out for that, and thanks to our Parks Department for putting that together.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. Just following up on that, so we had a junior commissioner there who did an awesome job of reading. You want to, how did that happen for that brave young person?
Oh man, so I brought him up there originally just to, be a part of the experience, and but he was adamant about reading, so I gave him a few sections. He knocked it out the park, and now he wants my seat. But yeah, thanks for that opportunity. He won't stop talking about it.
Got the biggest applause lines of anyone, I think. Yeah, that's awesome. Other comments, commissioners? Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just kind of reminiscing on, again, how cold it is getting outside. Thank you, City Manager Ritzma, for talking about some of the warming stations that are happening around the city. And I'm wondering, I was kind of taking a look at our emergency management plan, and I would love it if at our next meeting, if Attorney Leal could bring some information about, within our emergency ordinance plan, we have something that's set that says when we, the city, will open up a warming station. I didn't know if this is proper for us to talk about, maybe bring that in and talking about that at our next meeting, because I know it's, for the city, we don't start a plan or start a shelter unless it's 5 degrees below or a wind chill of 0. Maybe just revisiting that and just kind of taking a look at it and just kind of seeing with what's going on. We know housing is coming. We know it's not coming quick enough, but, there is only so much that we as a city can do, but I think definitely taking a look at what that plan is and if it can be tweaked in any way, I think that would be justice to be able to do that.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. Other comments, commissioners? Vice Mayor Hess?
Yeah, I have a few things. Commissioner Wilson, thank you for lighting up the park and talking about the lighting up the park. And we love sitting over here because we can see it. It's gorgeous. Great job, Parks and Rec, and everybody who worked on that. There's another tree lighting this Friday at 6 p.m. at Martin Luther King Park on Rose Street. So please join us for that. That's hosted by the Kalamazoo Junior Girls Association. So looking forward to that. Should be a little festive as well. And Mayor, we didn't have proclamations tonight, but I was able last Sunday to attend an event at the Wellspring Theater, with the Corey Terry Theater, and provide Corey Terry, retiring Corey Terry, with a recognition from the city for her work in the arts and her work throughout her career in bringing love and light to the city of Kalamazoo. People like her, and I think Mayor knows her, probably lives with her, and it makes this city a great place to live, great place to grow, and a great place to learn. So congratulations to Corey on a wonderful career in dance and the arts here in Kalamazoo. A few things. Kalamazoo Public Safety tonight has, again, knocked it out of the park with this lovely grant that we spoke about earlier, but we received in a communication from them last week their 2024 accomplishments. And I don't know if we were going to bring this up, but I just want to highlight a few of them. There's 4 pages of stuff here that have things that have happened in public safety. They've obtained grant funding and hired an additional crime analyst. I'm not going to read them all, but they've reduced, they and partners, and this is all a collaboration, and they'll be the first ones to say this, reduced homicides by 57% from last year. The number of victims assaulted with a firearm were down 17% and 27% from 2 years ago. And the overall number of confirmed shots fired incidents are down 49% from last year. They have solved all 9 of the homicides committed in 2024. They've obtained 10 murder convictions so far this year from previous homicides. They've hosted 4 quarterly conversations with the community. They are getting out into the community and asking the community in. They've increased community engagement by attending 106 community events that they normally wouldn't have attended. Tonight, we talked about that $1.25 million grant for community violence intervention. They've increased the FUSIS camera coverage, and I know when we first talked about these FUSIS cameras that it was it was a little back and forth, and we got a lot of pushback from the community. We have found that FUSIS has helped solve more crimes than anything, and they currently have 591 registered cameras at 102 locations and 651 integrated camera streams. It helps them be in the community when you can't have boots on the ground. They have hired 18 new public safety officers. They arrested the 2 serial arsonists that were responsible for significant damage to various structures in downtown. They have seized 420 illegal firearms off the streets and implemented a new gun amnesty program with partnership of Pastors on Patrol. That's huge. We've already received 2 firearms through that program so far and waiting for more. They have received reaccreditation from the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police, and that is good through 2026. And they've hosted both a spring and fall Citizens Academy. Those are just a few of the things they've done in addition to just being great community folks here in Kalamazoo, and we really, really appreciate them. Lastly, I told the city manager I was going to talk about this, but there was a game. He tends to be from Ohio State, and I tend to be from Michigan. And I'm just going to say this. I'll just say this. I'm not gloating. There is no gloat. This game, it was a great competition, and by that I mean that we worked together. The 2 teams worked together and made each other better. As was mentioned during Peace During War tonight, competition is out there. Peace during war. They've called this the Ohio-Michigan War. It's a war. Like, people are thinking that you have to hate the other in order to be successful. And that was seen at the end of the game with warlike fighting between the teams and not on the gridiron with rules. My hope is that here in Kalamazoo, we can see this and know that that is not the way to be better. The way to be better is with kindness. The way to be better is to understand the other, to collaborate with the other, to make sure that we show up fully with ourselves, that we check our hate, that we check our violence, our judgment in response to the other, and that we make kindness great again. Let us be aware of our effect on the community and help us win and lose with grace. And so that said, I just I want to say great game, City Manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Hess. Other comments, commissioners? Commissioner Praedel.
Thank you, Mayor. Someone who was making public comment mentioned or alluded to the fact that a WMU employee was killed in a bicycle accident earlier this year, and I wanted to make sure to say a few words for the father of the individual who was killed in that bicycling accident is actually Jeff Lillard. And if you don't know Jeff, he's a beloved person in public safety at WMU. Travels with the football team to games, is responsible for coordinating major university events, and somewhat ironically and tragically, a person who's devoted their life to improving the safety of people lost his son in a very tragic and unnecessary way. And so when we are investing in all these things and non-motorized infrastructure and whatnot, I can't think of a better way to memorialize JJ's lost life than continuing to invest and make our community safer in those ways. And so I just wanted to send out some love to JJ's family, Jeff Lillard, and his family as well for the loss of his son in late September this year. For the Blueprint for Peace presentation, it's just a powerful presentation we saw tonight. And I think for a lot of us who are up here, when we look to get involved in this work, those are the kind of moments why we do this. When we see groups building coalition to solve difficult problems. Again, I just go back to B's comment about what they're trying to do is create an ecosystem in our community, and talked a bit about how there's obviously the physical impact by gun violence, but there's the mental, emotional impact of that. But even today in my day job, my team was out at a house with broken windows that were shot out by guns, by bullets, and one of the windows that they were calling us out to replace here in 20-30 degree weather was a window into a room that the children play in. So imagine what that, I can do more than imagine. I know what impact it had on that family to not have the resources to resolve an issue that was caused by something completely out of their control. And then to worry about my kids, sitting, playing in a room where you knew there was a window that was shot out. So it has a huge impact on our community, and these sort of investments are the way that we can work together to solve them. And then, in terms of today, we in our community, the whole heard a presentation about, somebody who's wanting to come to our community and invest in and create 214 units of housing. And, obviously we've got a lot more to do in terms of trying to figure out solutions for lower AMI housing in our community. But this is still a positive step for Kalamazoo anytime that there's more places that people can live. So that was an exciting part. And again, just it is exciting to be on a commission when we can see these positive progress points happening in our community. And I really appreciate all the people who are working really hard, including public safety and all those partners who worked really hard to work on that grant, and all the people in CPED who work on projects like that housing development project that we heard more about today. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Praedel. Other comments, commissioners? All right. Seeing none over here. Hey, just a little housekeeping thing here first. Manager Ritzman and I just touched base about this. There is a meeting in 1 week here in these chambers. It is our budget presentation meeting for the City of Kalamazoo. That's at 5 o'clock, right, Manager Ritzman? Here in the chambers, and the city staff will be presenting on the budget. That budget is already been provided to us, as was required by our charter, and it's available for anyone in the community. Right, Manager Ritzman, how would someone go find that budget?
Yeah, just go to the city's website and type in budget, and you can get this coming budget and any previous budgets.
Thank you so much. So that's something that's available. You can look at it in advance of that meeting if you would like. Also, obviously, it's an open and public meeting. Anyone is welcome to attend. I appreciate you mentioning some times for celebration. Obviously, we think a lot about the challenges we have, but it was certainly great to get to spend some time with my colleagues and a lot of people, even though it was ridiculously frigid for the tree lighting. And I think there's more lights up this year, which I think people have been asking for a while. And it was really impressive once that switch got thrown, all the lights that came on, and it was great spending time with the community there for that great traditional ceremony, and also participating in the holiday parade, which was also packed, luckily not quite as cold. During this time of gratitude, we've just got out of a week of thinking particularly about that, not that we should not think about it year-round, but one thing that is really, really important to me and something I think about a great deal is just the power of work and what work does to help a person be connected in this world and feel good about themselves. And I'm a great believer in the power of work opportunities. And along those lines, while we were taking some time off, many of us with our families, there were people who were still working around the clock, at night, on Thanksgiving Day, over the weekend, you name it, in hospitals, nursing homes, all the places that have to be staffed around the clock. Our new addiction treatment center, which is right on Alamo, that just opened here in Kalamazoo, staffed around the clock by people. So thank you to everyone that does that work that sometimes does not get noticed and recognized. And particularly, since we're in the city, I just want to say thank you very much to our public services team that's out also in all weather, and public safety around the clock, no matter what the weather, no matter what the holiday, doing that work. Thank you so much for the efforts of the entire team that does that. That does not go unnoticed. I love you, Kalamazoo. We're adjourned.